Okay, hello.
Okay, hi once again. Now I think everything's okay.
All right, cool. Modern Eremite. All right, cool. So you're in crypto, right?
Yes, I'm in crypto, although it's like I'm in crypto in finance. Like I began my journey, let's call it, by learning finance, and crypto was just an, let's say, update along the way.
Okay, is that why you've decided to stay anonymous? I mean, it's fine. I don't mind, but
Yes. That was the reason I like the initial idea was to stay anonymous or like pseudonymous, kinda. But yeah, that was the idea from the very beginning when I created my first web page and Twitter and so on. I thought it will be better and easier for me to stay anonymous.
inspired by Satoshi.
Not exactly, but to be honest, at the very beginning, it was easier to break the ice of publishing something online. Under some second identity or some anonymized account. I thought it will be easier, and it was.
Definitely.
So that also was that initial idea, and I just kind of kept it, and I'm fine with it.
Okay,
To be honest,
fair enough. Yeah, because I have heard of like crypto millionaires or whatever being like basically grabbed in the street. I don't really know where that happens, but is that something that concerns you, perhaps?
like to be honest, there have been some incidents of blackmailing and other similar situations, but it's not only like related to crypto, but overall when you're when you're all over social media, and especially in the niche concerning finance,
Mm. Yeah.
that's where some negative stories might come true, let's say.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, because what are your thoughts on like accountability? Have you heard Andrew Kirby and like Naval talk about that? How they say they almost encourage people to put their names on things because then if it goes well, then you kind of get the upside of that. Is that anything you ever thought about?
I thought about it at the very beginning, yes, but I thought, like, I still do think that having an anonymous account does not mean there's no accountability to me because, for example, when I talk with people from the crypto space, like via DMs
Mm-hmm.
or just like having some calls or like during some events. So like we know each other
And is
like
that
but by name, yeah. It's just to the broader audience. I
mm,
guess it's easier, and there's also that accountability.
yeah, you used to have that
Mhm.
pseudonym. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. So yeah, do you have to kind of like keep it be careful kind of with who you I guess reveal your identity to. If you're talking with people in the crypto space, do you kind of tell them that this is your account or
It depends who I'm talking with,
mm,
because like, if I see that it's like a legit individual or like a legit project, then it's okay. We can talk. We can like exchange some ideas, personal ideas, just to verify who is who. But in general, it's easier, and I'd say it's pretty much safe because like there's a lot of scams and so on. So it's easier this way.
okay. How did you so you said you started in finance. How did that kind of transition to crypto?
It was a long way, I think, because I like that initial spark, let's call it, was the YouTube video. Like it was, I don't know whether it was all of the Naval Ravikant's podcasts, but some of them. It
Mm.
was a 4 or 5 hour long video. I was Yeah, I was at the I was it was during my last year at the university, so I watched it and I thought that it's high time for me to do something with my life aside from the university, because like the education at the university was not something I expected to be. So I felt quite disappointed with it, and I thought that because prior to that, that the overall thought was that the education is gained in the educational system, but it's turned out not to be true.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought I will begin to learn something. And I thought, well, what skills would be useful? And I thought that finance, like money management, finance, history of money, what's money, and so on, would be quite significant, like to everyone,
Mm.
to
Yeah.
build that basic foundation of knowledge and how to go through your life, let's say. So I've begun reading books, like listening to some people, YouTube videos, podcasts, so on, making notes on it, and it lasted for like 2 years. I think it was solely like finance and some, of course, like self-development books, videos, but like I'm still into finance, broader markets, but like today crypto is that number one thing, because after being in finance, I thought that I will try some technical skills. So I began learning C++ on my own.
Mm.
Then I switched to mm, some ethical hacking stuff just to see how those things like the internet, how is it built, how to stay secure in that whole internet jungle. And then I learned about crypto just by reading some articles on security and so on. So it was in 2020, in the early 2020, I learned about Bitcoin and Ethereum.
Yep.
I've read about it, but since then, for a couple of months, I left it. It was more or less I was reading about it, but it was more like some interesting thing on top of that security and technical journey. And it was like crypto was like a natural development, like
Yeah.
merge of that financial and technical world. So as I've said, nowadays I'm in crypto is like number one, but finance and the technical stuff, it's far easier to me to understand what's going on in that whole world, to have that not like unique perspective, but different perspective from people who have never invested the money or like don't know anything about finance, and it's like heard about crypto in some article and decided to invest. So it's far easier, especially from that technical
Mm.
point of view, to understand what's going on.
Did you ever help build any projects with your like coding?
No, like coding, it was like I was learning it on my own, as I've said, and it was more like just to see how coding is done
Mm.
to develop kind of like a technical mindset.
Yeah.
if I can call it like that. Mm,
Okay.
so no, I haven't been working on a project from the technical point of view. I'm more into research
Yes. Okay.
and writing, but mostly research. So like reading about those projects, seeing what's going on, staying up to date. And currently, I'm writing some short analysis, short research articles for one project because they are working on something different, and they've said that they don't have time to write anything on their own. So like they contacted me and asked whether I will have some time to help them
Okay.
with writing.
Yeah. So, are you doing this writing full time?
It's more like a part time for the project because I also wanted to do my thing, let's call it. So not research and write about things they would like me to write, but also write about the things I would like to pursue and dig deeper into.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's what I kind of meant. Do you just write generally about crypto full time?
Yeah. I write about crypto, like crypto related things.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
Mm,
So, do you have like a blog or something?
Yeah, I
We.
like initially I began with my webpage.
Mm.
I I built it with WordPress. It took me some time, but it was about like breaking the ice. Then I was learning about how to write online, where to publish those articles, and now I publish those articles on mostly on Medium, on Substack, and on Hackanoon.
Hmm.
So those three publishing pages. So yeah,
Okay.
those are like it's easier to be seen there than just hope to be seen because of your own webpage. Yeah,
Yes. Okay.
if you don't have that name in the space, let's call it, it's harder to be recognizable.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I can link those in the description of this podcast. If people want to check out your work if you're happy with that.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Okay. Yeah, I can find those links afterwards. All right.
Okay.
Cool. What are your thoughts now on like the current crypto market? Would you say like it's definitely a bear market?
Like it's definitely a bear market, not in crypto per se, but in general in the markets. Like the
Yeah.
broader situation is not so,
Hmm.
let's say, positive.
Yeah.
Uh, but we can like talk about this situation. How did we end up here, and so on for hours. So crypto is a rather small market compared to like stock markets or
Definitely.
like the debt market. So if anything goes wrong in those major markets,
Yeah.
crypto is far more volatile because there's less liquidity than in the major markets. So
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Because I think I heard it's something like the global. This is probably not the case anymore, but a few months or maybe a year ago or something like that, the global stock market was like $100 trillion, and crypto was like two or three. So there's definitely still like loads of space to grow. What's your like current strategy now? Are you investing into cryptos now, or are you waiting, or are you? Yeah.
uh, from my perspective, like it depends what it depends on your attitude towards the markets. You can either be an investor, a trader, a speculator.
Yeah.
And I personally prefer to be the long-term investor. So I hold some projects I believe in long term.
Yeah.
I do not. trade at all, some swing trades, but generally I just held to those long-term projects. But nowadays I'm more cautious, so I'm mostly into stable coins. So
Yeah.
it's like simply dollars,
Yeah.
so like a cash on the markets, because we can go down from here, of course. Like,
Deep, very
but
deep. Yeah.
yeah, but I would say if someone wants to buy something and hold it long term, now the prices are quite okay.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you have that perspective of like 5, 10 years, it's like if you buy today, quite possibly you'll be okay with that. It doesn't matter where, if you buy, for example, like Bitcoin nowadays at 20,000, or like, let's say 2 months from today, it can be like 18 or 15, but assuming that in 5 or 10 years, it will be like a couple of hundreds.
Yes.
So price of today really doesn't matter. It's about establishing the time horizon. So
Yeah. That's definitely, that mirrors a lot of what crypto content I've consumed. Okay. The projects you hold, are you focused a lot on utility?
what do you mean by utility? I
Okay.
mean like a real world utility or more like digital utility?
Yeah, I guess more real world, but I feel like there's a lot of projects which are they have roadmaps and they're like we're going to do this, we're going to do this. People get very like hyped up on that, and then there's projects which are like actually doing things today. Are you focused more on like, I guess, current or like the long term, like what they could implement in the future?
Okay, so maybe let's break that into some parts. You've mentioned roadmaps. A roadmap is simply like a project saying what we would like to do. And let's say that every project has some kind of a roadmap. The point is, how sure can you be about the project delivering what they want to deliver or what they say they will deliver? Because like even when you have some scammy projects, they will also like have that web page, some kind of roadmap. But when you'll read it, you will see that some things might be wrong, or maybe it's too optimistic, or maybe it's just a copy of something that's already here. So coming back to the issue of utility, if we think about crypto world in general, there's a DeFi space, so like decentralized finance. We had that DeFi summer in like 2020, 2021. So the whole world of the decentralized finance and projects building in that niche, like it exploded, like the prices spiked and so on. The idea of decentralized banking, like having your own decentralized financial system and so on. So
Pancakes.
everyone
Right.
was
Yeah.
very hyped, and we can talk about some financial utility here, taking loans and so on. On the other hand, we can talk about the NFTs, for example. So there is also utility there because like most people associate NFTs with some like profile pictures, like those bored ape
Yep.
yacht club, crypto banks, and so on. But NFT is like a technology
Yeah.
that has been implemented in crypto, and it allows you, maybe in other words, it's hard for us to say today what we can do with NFTs. Those artworks, those pixelated pictures of substandard quality and all of that was just that first thought, first hype that people had with NFTs. But if we think about the future and the concept of the future internet, because like you can hear about that Web3
Yeah.
stuff, metaverse. For me, honestly, like Web3 and metaverse is like all the same. It's just the next step, like the evolution of the internet
Yeah.
of today, in which you can own something. It's not that you can own, because like the very initial internet was like, let's say internet 1.0
Yeah.
is like you can only read things.
Yes.
In the second implementation, so like people from web 2, social media and so on, you can also post
Read
something.
and write. Yeah.
Yeah. And the next step is that you can truly own
Yes. Yeah.
something. So that ownership stuff is very important to building that digital life of yours. And you can think about, let's say, tickets or like medical records, even
Yeah.
like digital IDs. All of this quite possibly will be NFTs, because like the idea of, maybe the case with technology is the more people use it, the less they are interested in what kind of a tech is it. Like people are using Twitter nowadays, like YouTube. No one talks about the code of YouTube or
Because they're
Twitter.
used to it. Yeah. Yeah. It's like when
Yeah.
they first people first were paying online with credit cards. People were like worried about putting their number into an online thing, but now people do all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. So like they are not concerned about what's going on. They are used to it, as you're saying. So this can also be the second way of utility. And so there's plenty of projects that provide utility not only to, let's say, us as that retail customers, but some utility for other projects. So
Or companies. Yeah.
yes, so like for example, you can think about, let's think about those major projects. Let's have, for example, Cosmos
Yep.
ecosystem. And the idea of Cosmos ecosystem is they have that something that's called IBC. So like inter, what was the abbreviation? IBC.
Interconnected
Uh,
blockchain.
yes, something
Something like
like,
that.
I
It
don't remember
connects them all
the
together.
phrase. Yeah, like the idea is it connects all the projects in the network together, so like they can seamlessly exchange information. It's simply data. They can seamlessly exchange data if they want to. And also there's a Cosmos SDK. So it's like when you want to build a project, if you want to build a project in the Cosmos ecosystem, you can use Cosmos SDK. And it's like a framework that deals with like 90% of stuff you would have to do on your own. So it's easier to build something, let's say, in the ecosystem
Yeah.
than it is like to build your own project.
Okay. Talking about Cosmos, have you heard of Quant Network?
Yes, I've heard about it, although I haven't dig into it, so I cannot exactly say anything about this project.
Okay, because that's the one I think I've gone the deepest on,
Mhm.
and they're kind of aiming to do interoperability, if I'm saying that correctly, between
Yeah,
like
yeah.
everything basically. Like they're trying to connect it with the banks and like current companies, like you're saying, and yeah, that's similar to Cosmos, but I think on a larger scale. But I think that one's worth looking at. I do think that is. It looks pretty promising. But then I guess you could say that about loads of projects. Do you have like favorite projects?
like to some extent, yes. Like I can say that like, I am very much into Ethereum when it comes to the network effect and
Yeah.
like the idea they want to share, and generally as a project, because like the whole crypto has been built on that idea of decentralize the internet, and whether something is or is not decentralized is like up to open debate
Yeah.
from various reasons. But Ethereum is that number two, let's say, cryptocurrency, although it's very much different from Bitcoin,
Yeah.
because you can think about Bitcoin as there was a digital gold narrative.
Yes.
Although like there has been many narratives, and
They keep changing it because it's not. Originally, it was supposed to be like peer-to-peer cash, and then that didn't work. So now it's digital gold.
yeah, like the case with those narratives is like a narrative is a mirror of what society needs the most right now. So it has been a digital gold, it has been a hedge against inflation, but the issue is you cannot use Bitcoin like nowadays. Like maybe in other words, you can only use it to pay for something.
You
You can
can't.
write
You
smart contracts,
yeah.
more or less, or technically it might be possible in the future, but it's not the case. But you can simply use it to pay for something. It is like money. Whereas Ethereum is more like the internet. You can build
On it, yes.
on it.
I think someone described it as like kind of like an app store almost, but it's also like it's kind of its own project. But then it's like this base layer, and then you can build things on top which help and like contribute to Ethereum, kind of. Would you say that's
To some extent, yes.
yeah?
Although like you can think about it as an app store, but
It's like the base layer, kind of, that you can
yes,
build on
you can
top.
think about Ethereum as an internet. Like what I mean by that, you can build on top of it. You can use those various apps and so on. But there's a let's imagine the internet we are using right now, but there's some currency we pay for publishing things, doing something on the internet, and so on. So that's Ether. That's like the coin is Ether. The blockchain is called Ethereum.
Yeah.
So it's more like this, as if we had that internet where we have a currency to pay for any activity we do on that internet. So it's like a separate idea from Bitcoin. Like initially, when Ethereum had its ICOs, like initial coin offering, like
Yeah.
it was very new project, is just was entering the market. There was a narrative that it's Bitcoin 2.0. Uh, because like back in the old days, there weren't any like altcoins like or whatever. There were fewer projects.
Yeah.
So like it's easier to say that something is Bitcoin 2.0 because for example it allows you to write smart contracts to build on top of it, than assuming they would say that it's the new internet. You pick the narrative that sticks the most and that people would
Buy into.
yes and understand.
Yeah.
So I would say like Ethereum, when it comes to having a favorite project, I would say like Ethereum is the favorite one when it comes to their vision.
Okay. So is that you kind of like the idea of it? Because would you say there's like projects that you like you like the idea, you like what they're doing, but you would not then invest in them?
I would have to think about it. because uh, because you can have projects that are doing something. Maybe this way to illustrate it better. In crypto, you have various layers. Like projects are divided into different layers. You have like layer one, layer two, and layer three. We are slowly starting to have, and you can think of it like Ethereum as a layer one, just like Cosmos is a layer one, and it's that main hub for
Yeah,
other
bottom layer.
projects that can connect to it. Yeah, so like that hub to create a network of different projects. So let's say you have like a variety of different projects on Ethereum, and we can talk about, for example, like Ethereum name service.
Yep.
It's like purchasing and having ownership of your own
It's like
domain,
domain name,
let's
yeah.
call it. Yeah, like in today's
Similar to website.
internet, it's like, yeah, having a domain, and but it's different because you can build your website on top of that domain, but you can also use it
Send
as,
like a wallet.
yeah, like a wallet, like your ID. That
People,
domain
yeah.
can be also like your digital ID. So it's like the other use case. And for example, there are also different projects that are building that digital ID or that name service utility.
Do you think they're valuable? Do you think they're worth kind of getting one? Because I had the idea, I think it's already been done, but like how in the early internet people made a lot of money buying like stuff like, oh, I can't, like marketing.com, things like that. They're like popular names. Do you think like in the future you're going to see like big companies buying these kind of domain names?
It's already happening, to be honest.
Mm.
If you scroll through, I don't exactly remember the name of the Twitter account, but it's looking through the recent sales of ENS domains, and some offers and numbers are staggering, to be honest. Uh, I don't think you can even buy some domain. Like it is very hard nowadays to purchase a domain that will be quite obvious to others.
Yeah.
Like almost everything is almost bought,
Mm.
and of course you can use some personalized one. Yeah, like that's not the problem, but those obvious ones, the names of some companies, like I think every three-letter domains, emojis domains has been already bought, and the prices of those are quite high, let's call it.
Mm.
Uh, and but it's like a case with scarcity. Like back in the early days of Twitter, you could have registered that handles of like US states or like three digit, three digit, three letter mm, handles, and nowadays those are quite valuable. And there have been cases even of people like owners of those three digit domains being blackmailed
Wow.
because someone wanted to get
Mm.
that handle and they didn't want to sell it, let's say.
Yeah.
So coming back to the idea of those ENS domains, the issue is Ethereum name service is built on Ethereum, so you can only use it in the Ethereum network.
Mm.
You have, for example, like now Binance chain building their own, I think it's called Space ID, and you can only use it like on the Binance chain nowadays. You have, for example, like Tesla's project having their own domains, but it's as if having an ID of a given country and only being able to use it in a given country. You
Yeah.
cannot use it worldwide, at least nowadays in the crypto space. So
I
I
can
think
go on.
I think it's quite interesting idea, assuming that the space will grow to either have some kind of a domain, but it's like trying to pick the long-term winners and being cautious when it comes to what you're investing into. It's not that everything is expensive. I think you can buy an ENS domain for like $15 or $20. Uh, that's that's not a lot, I'd say, and you buy that domain for a given number of years. You can buy it for a year. It's the shortest period of time. And after that, you can either refresh it, leave it, or you can buy it for like 100 years if you'd like to, yeah? Like register it. But it's just up to you. It's like open market. You can sell it if you would like to. So there's a second market for it. The crypto industry is like, it's very broad industry, I would say. There's many things you can do nowadays, because for example, when you think about the market in 2018, it was different. Like you didn't have so many projects with, let's go like either utility, like real utility, or some high standards. Nowadays it's different. Like like crypto, to be honest, it's still in its infancy as an industry. So there's plenty of place to build new things, to experiment with different things, but it slowly matures over time. With every bull market, you have new experiments, new visions, new projects, and after every bull market, there comes a bear market, and only the strongest projects stays in the space, the ones that can prove themselves. And like normally, it was a similar case in like the real economy, that only the strongest companies survive, and they can provide you with like a real utility. So a similar case we have in crypto, and like over time, I hope, and that's my guess, that it will grow more and more mature, and
Yeah.
it will provide more utility to people. And by utility, I mean the real utility with the beginning of that Web3 idea and internet shifting to that new paradigm.
Yeah. Okay. What do you look for in a project when you're like researching one? If you were going to invest in it?
Founders are the first thing, because some projects have anonymous founders, and it's like a red flag. Not always, but quite often it will be a red flag.
Yeah.
So like you have to look who's the founder. You have to look on the roadmap. So what the project says it will deliver. Well, as I've said before, whether it's just a copy of something, or maybe it has some vision of providing some new idea to the space of being the first one doing something. There's that, let's call it boring stuff like reading white papers. So like the white papers, the documentation
Yeah.
of the project, so whether it's legit or maybe there are some, even by looking at the website, you can see if it's like high quality or maybe it's low quality. There are some mistakes, and all, you can see or at least feel whether something feels like a scammy project or not. And it's similar with, let's say, some, I don't know, like apps on App Store or whatever. Like there's plenty of scammy apps, and you can feel it. Like
Yeah.
it's like a gut feeling whether it's a scam or not. Um, but you have to also look for transparency, whether the project is transparent or not. And it's not only the case with who's building the project, but also who's the investor, what's the lockup period, like how much money has been invested.
Yeah, like the
And
distribution.
yeah, so like whether they bought the tokens of the project, or maybe it was like another way of funding. Like there's plenty of things, but those more important ones, I would say, is like reading the white paper, whether the project is transparent or not, seeing whether it has not only the following on Twitter or Discord, because you can buy those followers,
Yeah.
but whether it's like an active following. So whether,
The engagement.
yes, whether the engagement is there or is not, and like how, whether it's just some shilling engagement that everyone's shouting, yeah, like we will go to the moon and whatever, or where's some, I don't know even how to call it, like,
Bit more like mature, kind of. More
yeah, like mature.
realistic,
There's some
perhaps.
sense into it that people are really want to build something. Uh,
That's what I found a lot with the quant community. They do seem quite, yeah, sensible, I guess.
okay, like I have it on my watch list to do the research. However, I don't know when I will be able to dig through all of those projects. I would like to go
I
through.
know a good video I can send you if you want.
Okay, yeah, sure.
How long do you spend kind of researching a project, would you say, before you'd decide to invest? Like a rough average, kind of.
It's hard to say. It can be a day, for example. It can be longer, and it's not like I find a project, I will do some research, and I will decide, yeah, I'm going in. It's more like I'm finding a project, I'm doing some research, and then I'm adding it to my watch list and seeing how things develop over time.
Yeah, okay.
And then after some time, I will decide whether I will enter the project or not. Uh, as I've said before, I'm more like a long-term
Yeah.
investor. So with this approach, I'm rather trying to find those projects that have that long-term vision. Of course, there are some swing trades sometimes, like just sensing the trend or like utilizing the trend, but it's like pure speculation. So you don't have to do much research. It's
Yeah. It's more about like the technical analysis, would you say?
I'm not a fan of technical analysis.
Okay.
I mean,
I'm talking for
I,
like short
I
term.
Yes. I do not mean to undermine people who are into technical analysis, um, because like it's very useful to know the basics of technical analysis. Where's the support, where's the resistance, and so on. Like it's useful to find the best entry into the coin.
Yeah.
But like
People
I'm not
overcomplicate things.
into technical analysis so much as most of trading volume is done by bots.
Yeah.
Not only in crypto world, like on stock markets, on forex, like
Most is bots. I know in crypto there's a lot of bots, but would you say the most is bots in stocks and forex as well?
yes,
Okay.
you have for example you have the major banks
Mm.
having their own trading bots. I don't remember the names of those bots. Like each of them has some name,
Yeah.
but I don't remember the names. But there are those bots. For example, the definition of a bear market is when a major index on the US stock exchange goes below 20%.
20%
So
decline.
yes, 20% decline from the top.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it means we're entering the bear market. And if you look through the history, there has been a number of times when the decline has stopped at 18, 19 point something percent.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a human thing that it will stop this way. And when, for example, when you have that, like, let's say, like cascade of liquidations, yeah, like
Yeah.
very sharp and volatile price movements, like
So
downwards.
it like triggers more sell orders and then
Yes,
keeps
Liz.
going through the stop losses. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay.
for example, you have those bars like seeing some price ranges and like putting those orders, and it's like a vicious cycle of going down. But it's a similar thing on the way up. Yeah. So like it- from this point of view, like technical analysis is useful because you're kind of trying to predict where those orders by bots are, and it's easier for you to trade in those uh, areas to catch those price swings up and down. But it's like a whole different world being a trader than being an investor. Like you look at the market from a different perspective. So I'm more into like the fundamental analysis, or like during the research and so on.
Yeah.
It's like a different kind of behavior. It's not that it's better or worse, because like traders, let's say, earn on the way up, and also they earn on the way down as they short. So it's a different attitude
Yeah.
towards markets.
I'd say for like shorter time frames, that's where technical analysis is probably more useful.
Yeah, definitely it is for those shorter time frames.
Okay. What is the most profitable investment you've made? And you don't have to say like how much, but like kind of I don't know. You can do it in X's or this doesn't actually have to be in crypto as well. This can be any investment. Would you say is
Have
the
you heard about Luna, Terra Luna,
yes?
and its collapse? Yeah, this was my best investment when it comes to the ROI.
Mm.
To be honest, like I entered the crypto market, like financially entered, because I've said before that I learned about crypto in
Yeah.
early 2020,
Mm.
but I decided that I'm not yet experienced enough and I don't know so much that I will feel good on the market, and I couldn't say that I could resist those emotions, like handle those emotions on the market. So I spent like a year learning more and more about it, and I financially entered the market in early 2021.
Okay.
So like it wasn't the peak, but it was quite close. But with most of people in crypto, I know they entered near the top, then lost most, if not all, the money, and then they decided, yeah, I'm going to stay here. And they were quite successful because they were dedicated enough to learn.
Yes.
Uh,
Okay. Yeah.
I'm like the initial idea while entering the market was to gain some experience, and I invested the amount of money I was okay with losing. It's like if I lose all of it, I'm okay. I will learn a bunch of stuff, and like next time will be better. Happily, I didn't lose it. Like I'm still in profit. Like
No.
nowadays in those price ranges. So I am very happy with how I played it. Like, of course, I could have done it far better, but I'm
Yeah.
quite okay with it.
You can always
And
say that.
like
Yeah.
uh, Luna was the most profitable one. Mm,
How much are we talking? Like 3x,
I
5x?
something like 8x, I think.
Good.
Uh, so yeah, so it was quite something like 8x on the investment, but it's not like I entered and I exit the trade
Mm.
with it's like when you're entering a trade, like an investment, you have to establish the levels at
Yeah.
which you will exit the
Yeah.
trade. So it's up to you, but it's just you have to have that strategy. And the final ROI was more or less 8x. I don't remember exactly, but more or less something like that. Uh, the last part of Luna I sold, it was something about $80, and then it was like looking, it's still going up. It's like 100, and then it was like 120. But I was like emotionally okay with it.
Mm.
I was profitable with it. So
Yeah, I mean, you made money, so it's not like
yeah,
the end
yeah.
of the day. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, how do you kind of determine those levels of when you're going to exit?
It's mostly up to you, like defining yourself as an investor and knowing how greedy or cautious you are. For example, let's say you enter some trade, and you can say that, let's say if the trade makes like 100%, so like you can sell 50% of it, and like you've exited all the money you've
You put in.
put.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like you're kind of, there's no emotional attachment to the position.
Yeah, you just kind of let it. Yeah.
Yeah, but on the other hand, you've just sold 50%. What if it goes up? Yeah, so
Mm.
like it's about defining how greedy you are. Um, and so let's say you can enter a position, and let's say the coin makes 25%. You can sell like 10% of your position. Then let's say it makes another 25%, or like mm, it's maybe this way. It's hard to define the average levels because the projects are different. By entering a project, you have to think how much it can go up. Because if you're entering some very niche project, it can go way more up than some major one.
Yes.
So those price ranges will be different.
Okay.
But let's say on average, let's say an average project with like average liquidity and average possibility to go up, yeah. So you can have those exit levels at like 50%, 100%. Then you have like 2x, 4x, and so on. And at which of those levels, it's up to you how much you would like to sell, but you have to establish how much you would like to sell prior to the price going up, because
Yeah.
to have that strategy and like handling your emotions well,
That was.
and
Yeah.
sticking to your strategy, because like it's very easy to say to handle your emotions, but let's say when you have skin in the game and you're seeing the numbers go up and
Yeah.
then the numbers go down. So
Yeah.
it's different. You have to get used to it.
I think
And
sticking to your strategy, I think is probably the most important thing in crypto because like when I was first getting into it, I think that kind of cost me a bit because, like you said, I wasn't really sure when I was going to exit. So I had times where it went up quite a lot, but then I didn't really take very much profit at all, and then it kind of came down a bit. I mean, it still made money, but like there's I think it is really important to set those levels because, like you say, like just saying, "Oh, I'll control my emotions." I mean, that's kind of it's easy to say now, but the thing with emotions is they're not usually very rational.
yeah, indeed.
Like, oh, it's gone up 50%. Oh, well, it'll probably keep going. That's kind of what I think we kind of think. But yeah, I think that's very important having like levels.
Yeah, like to be honest, like one of the hardest things is to stick up to your strategy at the very beginning of your investment journey, because it all comes down to the emotions, yeah, and
Yeah.
like how well can you handle the greed? How well do you know yourself as a person? It might sound cliche, but it really is like that. How well do you know yourself and your emotions? How you will feel? How you will handle the loss and so on. And like the hardest thing on the market is to sell. It might sound counterintuitive, but it's easy to buy, but it's very hard to sell. Let's say you entered the coin and it goes down. And it's very hard emotionally to cut the losses. And if let's say, coin goes up, if you do not have the strategy, it's very hard to exit because greed comes into play, and it's very, very hard to sell. So you can get into trade and ride it all the way up to the top and all the way up to the bottom, and then you're like a bag holder and don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
Um, so like selling is very hard, cutting the losses. Like for people who are on the market, like not only crypto, but let's stick with crypto because like the volatility and the percentages up and down are quite significant. So let's say you entered a position and it goes down and you've lost like I don't know like 50% or like 80% of it even, and there's that inner feeling to break even, to
Yeah.
hold it till it breaks even, then you will sell. But
You won't.
but it may never break even, yeah.
Or if it
So
does break even, you might be like, oh, well, it's got back, so it might go up again.
yeah, and you still holding all the way up. Uh, but it, it's a very simple thing, but it's like enter your because you're having those digital portfolios, like for example, coin market cap and so on. So it's like a portfolio, like having it even on your phone, where you can see that the price is going up and down. So, for example, you can sell your position and think whether you will enter the same position at the same price with the money that you have now sold in dollars or not. So it's like, cutting the losses and seeing whether you will enter this position or not. It's like very simple thing, but once you sell it, just even with the intent to buy it after a couple of minutes, but just clicking that sell button and selling it is very important emotionally.
Yeah, makes you
Because
think. Yeah.
yeah, because then in order to go back to that state of having that coin, you have to take another action, like deliberate action, to buy it. And I saw it quite significantly at the very beginning, when I was learning to cut the losses on those smaller coins, because to be honest, I was quite cautious on the market. I if I enter the trade, I didn't do it with like half of the money I got. It was like up to 10%, I think, maybe more sometimes, but let's stick with the 10% stuff. So it, it's easier to cut the losses if you still have something to buy with, and it's also easier if that's not the major part of your portfolio, like emotionally. So like playing with small numbers at the very beginning is crucial to learning how to behave on the markets and to discovering how you behave on the markets. So like, you know, I wish I had bought some crypto earlier, but not because of the like financial purposes, but to longer to having skin in the game for from the very beginning.
Even if it's just a small amount. Yeah.
Yeah, if it's just a small amount. So you can put like, I don't know, like $50, but at the very beginning you see those emotions, and it's
Yes.
easier for you to handle it if those are like small numbers. So like, let's buy something with 50 or like $100 and just see how you feel. If you don't feel like it, exit it. If you feel like it, stay with it. Yeah.
And treat it
Uh,
seriously. Yeah, that helped me a lot. Like when I was beginning, I started with smaller amounts, and it did like teach me quite a lot about like, I guess, yeah, controlling your emotions and knowing kind of when and also you start to see how the prices like reacted in the past. Like, yeah, maybe if it's gone up loads, maybe you should take some profit.
yeah, like, but once again, coming back to that idea that the hardest thing is to sell. Yeah. So it also teaches you to buy, and it teaches you to buy something and to sell
Yeah,
with profits, and to cut the losses.
to make those good habits. Yeah, I'm just conscious of the time. Do you need to go? I don't want to take loads of your time.
I'm quite flexible today. I have like a bunch of free time today, so if you feel like it, we can continue. I also wanted to ask you, because
Sure.
I saw that you began your podcast with some investment stuff. As far as I remember, you did it on your own. There weren't any guests. Am I
Yeah.
correct?
Yes. There was this like from when I started it, there was a fair break to now. But yeah,
Okay.
I had
And
an Instagram page about like financing and like investing and stuff like that.
Okay.
I'm not posting on that currently, but yeah.
And how did you make that shift from the investment to like self-development and physically self-development, so like training, working out? So like how did the shift happen?
I think it's all fairly like tied in together, to be honest, with like kind of YouTube and like self development videos that I was watching. It kind of applies to almost every aspect, I'd say. So started, I guess I first got into it with like the finance and kind of wanting to become financially free, and then I was just trying to like improve my life, be more productive, like cultivate better habits, and then I think that's kind of where the fitness and like health, working out kind of came into it more. So yeah, I'd say it's kind of quite interlinked with the kind of stuff I was reading and watching.
Okay, so when it comes to like working out, so like do you mostly get the knowledge from like books or more like some digital sources?
Mostly digital sources, I'd say, for working, and also just I guess a little bit from books, but also like I guess almost trial and error. So that's why I'm kind of creating content about it now, is because I think I've learned things that could have sped me up a lot, so I can help other people with that.
Okay. And what's your maybe do you have an end goal with it, like the place you would like to be with your YouTube channel and working out, and maybe something connected with that working out but not connected with having a YouTube channel? Like have you got any goals you pursue, or
Oh right, yeah, okay. So yeah, I want to grow it. I don't have a set goal. I don't know. Perhaps I think I would like to compete in like powerlifting, I think, and like bodybuilding maybe. Not like at a high level, but just as a bit of like fun, I guess, to try it out. But and also I'm big into sports anyway, so like rugby, and I'm getting into like jiu-jitsu now, so maybe something with that. I just like competition and kind of seeing how I can do. But like, it doesn't have to be like a super high level, but I just find it quite fun. So maybe something with that, yeah.
and how do you feel about the martial arts? You've mentioned jiu-jitsu, so how long are you into this?
Oh, like I'm literally just getting into it now. I think, yeah, I think I always wanted to do martial art for quite a while, but I never really took the action, I guess. I think it's quite a good kind of skill to have. Might also try like kickboxing or something like that, because learn how to fight, I guess. But yeah, I think it's because I like them because it's it's useful, but I also like martial arts that are actually like, I guess, kind of like real fighting, if that makes sense. Because I feel like they're more like actually worth learning than just another game, I guess.
Okay, I see your point.
And I also know like a lot of people who've got into jujitsu and stuff like that and really like enjoyed it and said they've learned a lot through it. So thought I'd give it a try.
Okay, and are you going also like maybe like in the future make some videos connected with jiu-jitsu if you like really feel that you're into it, or
Definitely a
are you
possibility. Yeah, I'm definitely open to kind of changing my course of what I'm doing. So yeah, it's definitely a possibility.
so it's like YouTube is tied to your like development of interest, so like it's like you feel okay with shifting
Yeah, I
the
think you could say
yeah.
that. Yeah, I think there's like a lot of power and yeah, like leverage behind creating things online, and I like kind of creating things that can help other people. So I think that it might not necessarily always be YouTube, but there's going to be something, I think, where I'm always going to be trying to create and like help other people.
Okay. And how come did you end up with having podcasts also?
Yeah, so I listened to quite a few podcasts. I liked the format of them. I spoke to my brother quite a lot and about these kind of ideas, things I was learning about, and I thought they were quite interesting. And I was like, okay, so maybe other people might enjoy and find some value in this. And I also wanted to kind of connect and meet with other like cool people who are kind of doing, I guess, similar things to me. So I thought could speak to them and also hopefully provide some insights for people at the same time.
Yeah, like that's a great idea because uh, like there are those accountability goals, yeah, and initially I thought that it's the only way to talk with people from the community, but then I saw that you're having that podcast, and it was like I've listened to the podcast with Corey
Yeah.
recently, mm, and there are how many of them? Four or five of them?
Yeah.
Yes, or
About that
something
kind.
like that. Yeah, so
Um,
so that's a great way to learn something, so something more about people from the
Definitely.
synthesizer community.
I think you could go to those calls. I mean, probably like leave your camera off if you want to.
Like, I was at the very beginning
Yeah.
on those accountability calls, but then it's like the time when the calls happened, I had to do my things that I cannot change when it comes to the hours,
Oh, okay.
and like, I think I was two or three times. I don't remember exactly. On the accountability call,
Okay.
it was like the second or third one, so like it was the very beginning,
Okay. Yeah.
and because it happened on Saturday, I think.
Yes. It
Uh,
depends where you are in the world, but yeah, it was on Saturday, and for me, it's now on Sundays.
yeah, I saw that the day changed now. So yeah, it happened. Like I am based in Europe, so it happened on Saturdays in the morning, and I had a lot of stuff to do, and I just I had those like I think 2 weekends where when I could attend, and it was a great experience talking to all those people. Although there were far fewer people back then, like in the whole community. I
Yeah.
don't know how many people are on the accountability calls nowadays, but it was a great experience and great way to meet and talk with fellow synthesizers.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if you ever can get there, that would be quite cool. Yeah. Another thing I wanted to ask was, so you say you're writing about crypto full time. How have you managed to like monetize that so you're in that position where you can support yourself through doing that?
After the bull market ended, I thought I will give myself a break from working because I was working in the evenings mostly, uh, so I had plenty of time to learn, and my day simply looked like I get up, I exercise, I learn my stuff, then I go to work, I go back, I sleep, and repeat. And after the bull market ended, I thought that I will give myself a break for a couple of months to focus on what I would like to do because I was fortunate enough to save enough money and earn some money during the bull market to have the break. And the goal was, in the meantime, to try to build a reputation in the space and try to find some work in the crypto world, mostly connected with writing. I was looking for it, and so I began writing those articles, and as I've said before, initially it was on my webpage, so it wasn't as successful, but it broke the ice. So it was like the initial feeling, I felt okay with it. And then I discovered Hackanon. So it's more like a page for publishing technical things, like mostly technical things, but not only. And there are those contests also, like that you can win some prizes with it
You did
as
well,
an
didn't you?
like, additional reward. And I've learned about it after I was awarded the second place because I didn't know that there were any contests. And then
You just
it turned out I got the second place, and they messaged me that you got the second place and you got the award. So I was pretty amazed that this happened.
so
Uh,
you were just writing, and you just basically accidentally came second. Is that right?
yeah, because like it turned out that because you're writing the article and you publish it on Hackanon, and there are those contests that are going on. And the timeline of contests is different. Like some of them last for like 2 months, some of them last for like 6 months. Like it depends on the contest.
Yeah.
But there are some ongoing contests. Like I think nowadays there are three of them ongoing still. And if you want to publish an article, you have to add some hashtags or like whatever. And turned out that by entering some hashtags, like pretty like general ones, like DeFi, for example, you are taking part in the contest. And I didn't know about it. And yeah, so like it turned out that I got the second place, and there was a reward. It was $1,500.
Good.
So it was, yeah, but it was in that stable coin of Sora, and it depegged, so it was more like 1K.
Okay.
And yeah, and there are ongoing contests. Like recently, I've seen like a couple of days ago that I was fortunate enough once again to have the second place, but in a different one. So there was like I think like $400 for it. But it's a nice way to have some like additional money.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, but mostly I'm not trying to monetize the articles per se, but I use the articles to build the reputation in the space, and to uh, like by writing I am forced to do a thorough research, and I learn a lot. Like, I learn far more than prior to writing when I was during the research. So I have to be way more precise, not to put any like either like not to misinform
Yeah.
someone or to put something that I'm not sure about. So when I'm doing the research, it's like, to be honest, I do not publish those research articles. I have a couple of them, but I do not publish them yet. Maybe I will in the future. It's most like those research articles I'm doing for myself, and I publish. I think those are kind of like educational articles. Like exploring the space, saying what's Ethereum and what's its roadmap, something about the metaverse and the future of it, how to like about MetaMask and so on. So more like those educational pieces to build that solid foundations for people who would like to read it, and for myself to see whether there are some gaps that I have to fill when it comes to the knowledge of those like basic things and more advanced also. So like those articles are like used for self-development purposes and learning, and also like to build the reputation. Those are the crucial ones.
Okay. So what's the idea with building this reputation? You then gonna leverage that to perhaps get in on like earlier deals, or perhaps have like a paid newsletter or something? Is there a plan to use this reputation, or you just really like the space and you want to kind of give back?
Like the idea is to build a reputation and work with some projects in the future, like to contribute to some projects, to because like the idea of paid newsletters, I didn't think about it honestly, because like when you're having a paid newsletter, it's like you have to stick to the timeline, but it's like a restriction I didn't want to have. Is like I write when I feel like it,
Yeah.
and that reputation is used like to be known and to find some job in the space that I will be happy with, that I will be happy contributing, and just to grow in the space and be active there. So that's the idea. And like as I've said before, now I'm writing those articles for one of the projects, because like they found all the articles and said, yeah, it's really nice. I like the way you write, and whether you would like to write for us. So, and it's also like a great way, like building that reputation. It's a great way to get to know those people from the space, because like there are awesome people in the space. And it's far easier to reach people and talk with them during a bear market, because there's far less interest, and you perceive people differently when they reach you in a bear market, whereas when they reach you in bull market, when there's an all hype and so on. Yeah.
I know you're
So
in it for the long haul.
yeah. So I've met amazing people in the space. I've talked to them on the conferences and via DMs. So it's a great place to be, because there are great people. But like, on the flip side, like there are also like many negative emotions and so on. But I guess it's like as everywhere. It's just easier to reach those people because like, everything's digitally.
That's a very good point, actually. Maybe I should be trying to speak to some more crypto guys now.
Yeah, like, sure. As maybe not especially, but those people with fewer, like smaller followings, are people who are very focused on building, like on average, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
But those who I've talked to, they have like those smaller followings, but there are amazing people working at amazing projects, and they just don't have time to like post on Twitter or like whatever.
Yeah.
They mostly use it to connect with people who like really want to get things done, and so on.
Awesome.
So
okay, so you've taken some time off. You saved up some money from the bull market even. So where do you think this is going to go? Do you think you're going to have to go and get a job, or do you think you're going to be able to stay afloat, I guess, until you find a job in the crypto space?
I guess it's hard to say, but I think I will be able to stay afloat, as you've put it. Now by working with this project, it's like earning some additional money, and like, if things stay this way, like as they are, let's say I have time. Let's call it. So it's not that I'm in a rush to find a job. I have time. I think if nothing bad happens, like I'll be able to live like this and doing my stuff for like 2 or 3 years maybe.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So I have time. There's no need to rush, and I th- I hope I hope I will find myself a decent space.
I'm sure you can make it happen. Yeah, I mean, well, 2 to 3 years. Hopefully, well, that should be the next Bitcoin halving then, right? And then, oh,
Yeah, hopefully
the hype
the
train
next
might be
cycle,
back in.
yeah, will come. Some people say that it might come in 2024, 2025. So that's it's not such a distant future if you
Yeah,
say it depends on the perspective, yeah. Because it's just like 2 years more or less. So cycles come and go in every market, and with the cycles, like there are like financial cycles, emotional cycles. Like after each bull, you have a bear. After each bear, you have a bull. So it's just a matter of uh, building in the bear market, staying active,
yeah.
doing stuff,
I really think
networking with
I
people.
really think you're in a good place. Yeah, I mean, like you said, now is the time to be go like researching, buying in on projects while they're like way down from they were, like networking people, and then also the people who are building. I think this is. I feel like the people who are sticking around now, who are properly like putting the work in, still really gonna benefit when that next bull market comes. So yeah.
Yeah, hopefully. About those projects,
Hmm?
most of the projects that had the highest ROI during bull markets are the ones who are the ones which are made in the very beginning of the bull or during the bull market. So I guess the highest ROI projects are not yet here, but will be built. For example, Luna or Solana. Those are not the old projects. Those had one of the highest ROIs in the space. Like Shiba Inu, I think, had the highest one. But those projects were built during the bull market. Because, like as I've said before, when you're building during the bear market, quite probably you're like quite decent project with some capital backing, having some cash flows, quite probably. So you can go up, but it all depends on the hype. And coming back to that idea of entering a coin and riding all the way up and all the way down, and thinking, wanting to break even. So, like, imagining that we had that cycle, and you've bought into a coin, and you rode it all the way up and all the way down, and you just want to break even. Yeah. So imagine if you're entering the project now, and there are thousands of people who just want to break even. So think about that sell pressure on certain price ranges. It's
Yeah.
like
Good point.
staggering how much liquidity will enter. at some levels and will, drag down the price of projects. So it's also something worth thinking about.
That's a good point. I haven't really thought about that. Okay.
Because when there's a new project, like for example Luna or Shiba, there were no backholders. There were no people wanting to break even.
Just high hopes and yeah.
Yeah,
We're going
just
to the
I don't know.
moon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Anything else you want to ask, or we can wrap up here?
Like, I think we can wrap it up here because the question I wanted to ask you about your end goal and those things you want to achieve, we've already covered it. So I think we wrap it up
Sure. Okay.
now. And so thank you very much for having me. It was nice talking to you.
Good to talk to you. Yeah. You inspire me to really dive back in a bit more. And I mean, I'm still in a bit, but I haven't been, I guess, as active as I have been. I guess mainly focusing on other things, but yeah, I think just end with a quote that I'm not sure who it's from, but it's like the worst thing to be in crypto isn't to be like broke, it's to be X rich, like at the end of a cycle where
Yeah,
you like we were saying, you buy, you go up, and then you hold it all the way down.
yeah.
All right,
It
so
might be one of the worst feelings. Yeah.
if you want to send me those links, I'll put them in the description of this podcast so people can check out your work.
Okay, yeah.
So it's just like your insights on crypto, basically, yeah.
Yeah, mostly my insights on crypto. And as I've said, when it comes to those research articles, maybe I will publish them in the future. Mm, I don't know yet. So it's mostly my insights into the space, like as a whole.
Yeah.
If you want to learn about it from the beginning, so it's mostly this way. So thank you very
Yeah,
much
it was
for the
awesome.
day. It
Great
was
to speak
great
to you.
talking to you.
Maybe
And good luck with your podcast
thank
and your
you.
YouTube channel and your endeavors.
You too. Yeah, maybe we can do this again sometime. It was good. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, sure.
All right. See ya.
See ya.
Have a good day. Bye.
Likewise.